Hi everyone, it's Jessica. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking about a new monthly challenge. So last month was our first month of monthly challenges and we worked on flying geese. I'll be sharing my project here with you too later in the video, but if you've been following along on my channel, you've already seen it. So the October monthly challenge topic is to make something tiny. Tiny is a somewhat subjective term, right? So if you're used to making 12-inch blocks, a tiny block for you might be a 6-inch block. But if you make 6-inch blocks all the time, something tiny for you might be a 3-inch or a 4-inch block or even smaller. Any of these sizes fall within this challenge. Whatever is small or tiny for you counts. Your tiny item could be one block. It could be a pincushion, a mini quilt, a placemat. It could be a whole quilt of tiny things. You get to decide what you make and what you turn it into. In my experience, tiny piecing greatly improves your accuracy in quilting. Once you take the time to make something tiny, and then when you go back to your regular size block, it seems so much easier and so much more doable. So making tiny things really builds your skills. I'm not sure exactly what I'm gonna make, but I'm gonna be thinking about it and I'll be sharing here as we go along. So now that you know the topic for October, let's talk about our topic for last month. It was flying geese. For my project, I chose to make the 4 at a time flying geese quilt. This pattern is in my shop and I'll link to it below. It uses a layer cake and just a border. So it's really fabric efficient, really fun. It's a beautiful size for a small throw. And I had a really great time working on this. I posted a bunch of videos on making flying geese, the tips that I found after I practiced the 4 at a time flying geese. So those videos are all on the channel. I'll link to some of them below, but you can search for flying geese under the videos of my channel and it will pull all of them up too. So let me show you this whole quilt. First, I'll show it to you on the ground here and then I'll hold it up. So what I did was I used a layer cake to make large flying geese. Each of these geese measures 4 inches by 8 inches when they're finished. And because I used the 4 at a time method, I had 4 identical geese from each grouping. I was going to originally mix them up, but then I laid them out like this, and I really liked how it looked. I alternated the direction of the points in the geese, and I also liked how that looked. Another thing I chose to do, even though this uses a layer cake and the number of squares in the layer cake works perfectly with this quilt, I decided to substitute some of the layer cake squares for this background color. So I did that a few times just to give a little bit more white. This specific layer cake didn't have very many white prints and I wanted to have some light prints in my flying geese. So I swapped those in for some of the squares that were in the layer cake. For the quilting design, this pantograph is by So Shabby Quilting and it's called Patchwork 2. I really love how it looks. It alternates a straight up and down block with a diagonal block. And I think it is really, really great in this quilt. My batting, I used Warm and White. I like Warm and White whenever I have a quilt that has a lot of white in it, so that was what I used. For my backing, I chose this blue that I have in my stash that looked really great with this, and I also used it for my binding too. Let me show you how it looks when I'm holding it. So that was my September quilt, and that wraps it up for this little short video. I hope you join me in the October challenge. Making something tiny is going to be so fun, and I can't wait to talk more about it. I'll see you back here soon. Thanks for following along.